Pensioners FM. This is Africa's model.
A beautiful life does not just happen, it is built daily by prayers, humility, sacrifice, and love. Good morning and welcome to the midweek edition of Newsreel on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Today is Wednesday, the 4th of November, year 2020. On Newsreel, we treat you to stories making the rounds in politics, education, health, security, agriculture, business, sports, and entertainment. All you have to do is to keep your dial locked on the station, Pensioners 106.7 FM, Onireke Ibadan. My name is Okpeyemi Adewale, and I have two national dailies this beautiful morning, the Nigerian Tribune and the Nation newspaper. I'll take you through the headlines, and when we're done, we'll go into the details of the stories. Good morning. Yes, please. The program is Newsreel on Pensioners 106.7 FM, and I'm glad to let you know that my guest analyst is here this morning, Femi Olukole. Good to see you, Femi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, let's go straight to the stories making the rounds for this beautiful morning. First, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, I have this first headline that says Nigeria's debt to hit 38.68 trillion naira in 2021, with the rider 873 billion naira released for capital project. Reps threatening to remove new power projects in 2021 budget proposal. On page 2, Egypt to deport NSAS protesters without residence permit. Oyo Assembly suspends 13 caretaker chairmen, directs secretaries to take over. That's page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune. Missing genitals, youths burn down houses, church in Benue. Page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. Federal government must end strike for sake of poor parents. Fire me. And it has the rider, past governments responsible for incessant ASU strike. Education Minister, you'll find that on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. SARS, I was tortured, stripped, had my spinal cord broken. Victim on wheelchair tells panel. With the rider, Lekki Tollgate CCTV stopped working at 8 p.m. Page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. More headlines this morning from the Nigerian Tribune. Senate seeks clarity on 90 million naira international trip by Information Ministry. Page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. Police already reformed, says Malami. And 17 years after, 11 states yet to enact Child Rights Act. Page 25 of the Nigerian Tribune. And on health issues, COVID-19, 65% of returning international passengers dodge tests. Next 2 weeks critical, PTF, and has this rider all corps members to undergo antigen-based test, NCDC. And headlines from the Nation newspaper, government won't back down on IPPIS for ASU. Lecturers remain adamant. That's on page 29 of the Nation newspaper. Why Lekki Tollgate stopped working? Firm's boss before panel, page 28 of the Nation newspaper. Then Osun pensioners get 1.2 billion naira. Equities cross 16 trillion naira mark with 133 billion naira gain. Government offers 3-year bond at 276%. You'll find the stories on page 8 and page 27 of the Nation newspaper. And more headlines from the Nation this beautiful Wednesday morning. Nigeria's debt to hit 38.68 trillion naira next year, says Minister. House SARS operatives broke my spine. Trader tells panel. 1,220 operatives in SWAT trading. Highest ever voter turnout elects United States presidents. That's page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Then rising global COVID-19 cases puts Nigeria at risk. PTF Lagos, one of second wave states, have received 50 billion naira to battle virus. All the stories will come your way shortly. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. I'll take my first story from the Nigerian Tribune, and this one says fake news engineered NSAS protest. IGP approves posting of DIG, AIG to new departments. The Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has blamed the recent NSAS violence in different parts of the country on fake news on the social media. The police boss said this on Tuesday during an assessment tour of the burned and vandalized police stations and other formations in Lagos State. He also disclosed that a total of 1,590 suspected hoodlums who went on rampage looting and destroying private and public property during the protest had been arrested in different parts of Nigeria. Adamu also commended men and officers of the State Police Command for exhibiting calmness and professionalism in the face of provocation during the violence that marred the protest. Fake news engineered EDSA's protest. Let's quickly take your thoughts on this. My analyst for this beautiful morning, Femi. It's no news that NSAS has been the in for about 15, 20 days now, and now the IGP is saying fake news is the main thing that has triggered violence regarding NSAS. What would you say about this?
If I'm not making a mistake, I think when this man came on board, they told us that he read law. I think he's a lawyer. Now, if he's a lawyer, and anyone who has gone to university anyway, irrespective of the course that person has gone there to study, that person is expected to be somebody who has high intellect, who can reason very well. You see, for a person of the caliber of Inspector General of Police to say that it was fake news that triggered the protest and the violence is disappointing. He must know that there were two categories of people that took place in that drama. The genuine protesters, youth who were protesting the absurdities in the activities of the police. And then they were demanding for good governance. And then nothing happened until they fired shots at those people and they killed some of them. It was then that the hoodlums cashed on that to perpetrate all those vandalism, stealing, and all the rest. So for the Inspector General of Police to say that it was fake news is totally unfortunate.
But let's take it from here. You know, the story making the round is majority of what has been circulating on social media is actually not true. That is what has been circulating all around for some days now.
That
even to live footage
that led to that event. Well, there was one thing that was sacrosanct. There was protest.
Yes, there was protest.
And then there was shooting,
which has not been accepted or confirmed.
There was shooting. We saw people who were dead. So it is not for the Inspector General of Police to say it was fake. Let him go and convince the panel. There's a panel that has been put in place to unravel the mysteries behind this thing. So it is not for him to say within the comforts of his office and say, or wherever he was, when he said that, to say that all those things did not take place. When people saw it, even internationally.
Yes.
So it needs the person of the Inspector General of Police to go to that panel and establish his own facts and convince the panelists that, okay, everything was fake. There was no protest, there was no shooting, there was no killing.
Despite live footages, what everybody has said.
So just let him go. But another thing he must understand is that he cannot, although it's unfortunate, I pity him because it's in Abuja. He did not see how Nigerians were brutalized by his men.
Hmm.
And the people bottled their anger, and they had the opportunity to forcefully open the lid on the bottle, just like you open a bottle of champagne. You know the noise that will accompany it.
Yes.
So that exactly was what happened. The unfortunate thing is that people had those hoodlums introduced stealing, looting, and all the rest into it, and that in itself is a testimony to the fact that terrible hunger plus anger are in the land.
Now, let me take this story on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. It says Egypt to deport NSAS protesters without residence permits. Now, Egyptian authorities have said that 7 out of the 8 NSAS Nigerians who protested in Egypt on October 18 will be deported for lack of residence permits or visas. In a statement from Nigerians in Diaspora Commission NIDCOM, the only Nigerian among them who has residency permit will get final clearance from the Egyptian Interior Minister Mahmoud Tawfik after signing an undertaking not to be involved in any unauthorized activity while in the country. Now, apart from this, something also happened to one of the frontliners of the NSAS protesters. That's Modupe Udele. She was detained, or her passport was seized. She was prevented from traveling yesterday morning, and people are saying different things about the aftermath of end protest. That is like the government is trying to clamp down on the youths who started this NSAS thing. What's your take on that?
There are two questions rolled into one. Let me start from that of the Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt's current administration is a product of protests.
Yes, exactly.
Because it was when this Arab Spring that took place in those Arab countries, it was the Arab Spring that spread to Egypt, and the Egyptians catched on it. We saw the footage. There were so many Egyptians. They even climbed on the armor tank, rolled out by soldiers. Soldiers did not kill them. Soldiers were among them. They were even romancing with them. It was like they were with the people. And then the people were able to bring down the government. And that was how the army general then, who is now the president of Egypt, that was how he came in as the president of Egypt. So if he decided to climb, I'm not supporting anybody who went to another country without valid papers. No, I'm not supporting that at all. But if the Egyptians' aim is to climb down on those people because they protested,
took part in
the diaspora protest against what is happening in Nigeria here, and they are Nigerians. Now, it will be very, very unfortunate because this government is a beneficiary. I mean, government of Egypt, the current government of Egypt is a beneficiary of such some similar protests. Similar protests took place there. So maybe what Egypt is doing is this brotherhood in governance. My brother, who is the president of Nigeria, and then we must support him. We must not allow this thing. Whereas protests took place in America, it took place in Britain, it took place in this Western country.
Even in Hong Kong.
You can now see the mentality of African nations. Africans. It will take us, I just pray it doesn't take us too long before we liberate ourselves and then we develop properly. So you can see the chemistry of Africans. So I'm not surprised.
And before we're done with the NSAS story this morning, there's one story here that says #NSAS protest setback to realization of SDGs in Nigeria. Stakeholders. Now, stakeholders have expressed concerns that the NSAS protest leading to wanton destruction of both private and public infrastructure will take back the country from realizing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. A development expert, Mr. Innocent Okwori, said the destructions unleashed on the private businesses and public infrastructure occasioned by the NSAS protest in some parts of the country will take trillions of naira to rebuild. Already, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, said it will take about ₦1 trillion to fix the things that were destroyed in Lagos.
Yeah, honestly speaking, I lament I lamented and I'm still lamenting the destruction in the country, not in Lagos alone. Honestly,
Everywhere.
it is like taking one step forward and taking 5 steps backwards.
Yeah.
That is just it. So naturally, the money that should have been invested into placement of additional infrastructure for the development of the nation will be used to replace the ones that have been destroyed. And you don't build your wealth when you destroy and you replace, destroy and you rebuild. You don't build your wealth like that. So it is unfortunate. And then, you see, I have always said it. The miscreants that did that, they are Nigerians. And anyone who has good intellect, anyone whose common sense has been built properly, will not touch a radio station, will not touch a firm that gives a means of livelihood to hundreds of people.
The masses.
It is those who have not been taken care of properly by the state. And that exactly was what Awolowo said. That you continue to train your own children. Those children you fail to train now will not allow your own children to rest. It is not their own children alone, it is all of us now. So nobody was born a miscreant, nobody was born a thug, nobody was born a hoodlum. Even these thugs, they were produced by people in government, because people in government gave them guns during electioneering. Hey, go and attack my political enemy and all the rest. Give them peanuts, and those ones will do it. And before you know what is happening, they became graduates of thuggery. And then those who initiated them into it, they can no longer control them. So, and that is what you are seeing. The fact of the matter is that people are jobless, people are hungry, people are angry, and they just cashed in on the fact that people, when those people were protesting peacefully, miscreants did not hijack it. But when they fired shots, that was what they cashed on. So that is just it. So you must just say that head or tail, government is to blame, because you must train your citizens to become responsible. If you don't train them, they will give you problem.
80 minutes past 7, it's Newsreel on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Let's move on to business stories. Then we'll go to some stories that came up from the education scene. Nigeria debt profile to rise to 38.6 trillion naira in 2021, 6 staggered completion of road projects. Nigeria's debt stock, both external and domestic, would rise to 38.68 trillion naira by December 31. 2021. Minister of Defense, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed gave the estimate on Tuesday in Abuja. The occasion was 2021 Budget Defense before the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt at the National Assembly Complex. Nigeria debt profile to rise to 38.6 trillion naira. February already, Nigeria is battling the coronavirus pandemic, and the World Bank has made its projections, and now we're having this Nigeria debt profile to rise. NSAS also came up. What exactly is going on in terms of our economy? Now, the dollar has not been smiling to the naira over the past days.
You see, the major problem we have is lack of focus. We lack focus. People in government most of them lack focus. Now, there are two ways that we can wriggle out of this state. One, let electricity be stable in this country. Two, let us revive the industries. In fact, when electricity is stable, the industries will come. And what they call these people, investors will come when they know that they don't have to pay. Look at this station where we are now. This evening and early this morning, I was just ruminating on this program this morning. What shape will it take? And then my mind flashed back to the fact that if there is power failure, the generator must be powered. Must be
on, yes,
put on, switched on, so that the station will be powered. And let's assume that for about 12-15 hours, public electricity did not come, and that means generator will be running for those 15 hours, and then convert the amount of money I mean, the liters rather to money, that the liters that will be consumed by that generator. How can industries, factories, how can they break even? So that is one. Two, we borrow money for nonsensical things.
Would you call borrowing for infrastructural development nonsensical?
No. I didn't mean that. Okay, how will you? What will you say to going outside to borrow money?
Yes, that's an issue to fix what you're supposed to do for yourself with the resources.
To make rail track to another man's country. How will you say? What reason will you give to that one?
Yeah, but the real line is just to a particular point before it gets
going into somebody's country. So when the 36 states capitals have not been linked with railways
in terms of real line,
in other rail lines, in order to boost the internal economy. So what are we talking about? And our next governor in this country said something. It's online. He said Nigeria is a funny place. We go outside to borrow money, and when we get to those countries where we want to borrow money, their prime minister rides bicycle, or he goes in his small car. No retinue of vehicles, no convoy. But Nigerians who have gone to their country to borrow, when they get to their countries, they would go in convoy, big cars, and then those ones just look at them. That what's wrong with these people? And how are the creditors, how are they sure that when they give you the money, you are going to use it well? And that is why we are manufacturing enemies, economic enemies for ourselves. Government has manufactured so many economic enemies, and it is glaring. It's glaring that they borrow the money when a project that is supposed to cost 5 naira, they say it is 25 naira, and then they leave the burden, the debt burden for generations yet unborn. This 38 or whatever trillion that they are talking about. When is this country going to be going to pay this money? How it will? What is the enablement that will make the country to pay? I don't know. As you were talking about the figures, I in fact, I got afraid.
Yeah, but this story might interest you, Femi. It's on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune. It says 2020 budget, federal government spent 7.09 trillion naira in Q3 2020 and released 873 billion naira for capital projects. The federal government on Tuesday disclosed that 7.09 trillion naira had so far been spent as of the end of third quarter of 2020 fiscal year, just as it unveiled plans to introduce an additional 2.5% value-added tax rate in 2021 fiscal year as part of efforts aimed at increasing revenue generation.
That is another problem for the masses. Increment in value-added tax. That is increment in. I mean, that is a more money moving out of masses' pockets.
Hard-earned money.
Because everything you buy, they tax you according to that percentage.
Yes.
So that is pauperizing the people more.
Now, you see, it's additional 2.5%. Yes, as it's a plan to introduce additional 2.5%.
That is what I'm saying.
You'll be paying something before, then 2.5 will be added.
That is what I'm saying. That it is more pain for the people. You see. As I've seen, what I've seen in this country is that it is the paupers, the downtrodden Nigerians that are paying through their nostrils to maintain the flamboyant status of people in government. Because people are the downtrodden Nigerians are paying. The people in government have refused to reduce the flamboyant way of life. If somebody will at the end of the month take 32 million naira, or as we hear all over the place, some people will go in. A minister will go in a convoy of 6, 7, 8, 9 cars, and then all of them like that. We are paying for their comfort. Let them come down. Let them come down from the top where they are. Let them come to our level. Let all of us tighten our belts together. Let us salvage this economy. The masses cannot be suffering alone while these people in government will be enjoying. It is absurd. It is against the law, the natural law of God. I mean, the law, the divine law of God, rather. It is against the natural law of justice. So the 2 point something percent that you said,
yes, 2.5%,
2.5%, that is 2.5% additional punishment for the people. And then they said that they had paid, they have spent certain amount of money before the third quarter.
Yes, 7.09 trillion naira in
Q3. The question remains, on what did they spend the money? Probably they spent it on a recurrent expenditure, because if it is capital expenditure, aside from the rail tracks they are laying, I don't know any other thing they have done. I don't know. And the rail track that they are laying, they borrowed money.
Well,
so I've not seen any.
There's a breakdown of how the money was spent, and you could go to page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune and read through the breakdown. It's still Newsreel on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Let's talk some education stories this morning, and this is of concern to everybody in Nigeria. Federal government must end ASU strike for sake of poor Nigerian parents. Fayemi, that's on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. The Ekiti State Governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, has urged the federal government and relevant stakeholders in the education sector to have an urgent engagement with the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, in order to bring an end to the current impasse and save the children of ordinary citizens in the country. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Yinka Oyebode, in a statement on Tuesday, noted that Fayemi stated this in Ado-Ekiti when he received members of the Board of Trustees of the Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation, led by its chairman and former governor of Niger State, Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, in his office on Monday. I'll take this one by the education minister himself. It says universities will soon reopen for academic activities, still on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. There are strong indications that after almost 1 year at home due to the strike action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, the universities may soon reopen for academic activities as a truce will soon be reached. The indication was given by the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, who also blamed previous administrations for being responsible for the continuous strike by the ASU members due to the agreement entered into with the union. Another story here says ASU denies meeting with AAU Pro panel, and we don't discriminate in funding schools. That's coming from TED Fund. Now, ASU strike, it's 8 months now, and the issue is basically on the integrated personal payroll system, IPPIS, that ASU is saying no, we won't enroll in the IPPIS, and people have been calling on them to please call off their strike.
Yeah, this IPPIS issue, we have spoken on it so many times.
And ASU has presented UTAS, which is homegrown.
Yes, you see, it is ego that is in this thing, because federal government doesn't want to bruise its own. It doesn't want ASU to bruise its ego. And ASU is adamant that yes, we want to protect our own territory. We want to protect, because nobody from outside is expected to meddle into the affairs of a university, as it is done elsewhere. Yes, ego is the problem. Now, if ASU says yes, we have a system through which we can blot out corruption, and federal government says no, it is the one we put in place that you must use. ASU says no, you cannot come and meddle into the affairs of a university. You see, it is ego, and people who are suffering are the students. So I would just, as I've always said, I would just appeal to both of them to find the median, just a little to the right, a little to the left. Let them meet at the center, and then let them solve this problem and stop wasting the time of our students. Some of them have become fathers while they are still in school, mothers, fathers,
and some have been victims of terrible situations.
Honestly speaking, so parents are tired of keeping these children at home, and they should allow the students to get back so that they may do something tangible with their lives. They are wasting their time. They are wasting the people's lives. So And then on I think you read 3 stories together.
Yes, I read one on TED Fund. TED Fund saying it does not discriminate when it comes to funding of institutions in the country, because for some time TED Fund had been accused of discrimination.
If anybody has accused anybody of any federal parastatal of discrimination, well, I will not go against the opinion, because we all see it. So if TED Fund is now saying that it is not discriminating, well, people can see. People know how they develop discourse, whether it is even or not. People can say. But for anybody who does what is wrong, I am sure he will always have a reason for doing so, even if the reason is not reasonable. So they try to defend themselves. So
it's Newsreel on Pensioners 106.7 FM. You can be a part of the program this morning by calling the studio lines 0908 111 1067 or 0808 010 1067, 0908 111 1067 or 0808 010 1067. Let's take stories from our very own Oyo State. Oyo Assembly suspends 13 caretaker chairmen, directs secretaries to take over. The Oyo State House of Assembly on Tuesday announced the indefinite suspension of caretaker chairmen of 8 local council development areas and 5 local government areas of the state. This followed the failure of the 13 caretaker chairmen to submit a comprehensive list of graders, bulldozers, flatbed trucks, and other earth-moving equipment in their domain as requested by the State Assembly. It will be recalled that the Assembly had given an October 23 ultimatum to the chairmen of local councils to submit the report or risk suspension following the failure of 95% of the chairmen to heed an earlier call from the Assembly on August 18 to submit the same report. 38% of children in Oyo are malnourished. Survey that's on page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune. 38% of children in Oyo State suffer from malnutrition and stunted growth. Dr. Khadija Larakwe, the Oyo State project coordinator at Accelerating Nutrition Results in Nigeria, said in Ibadan, the state capital, on Tuesday. According to the News Agency of Nigeria, speaking at an ongoing 5-day capacity training for media practitioners, Larakwe noted that the 38% was far higher than World Health Organization's acceptable standard of 20%. She noted also that the level was high in spite of the state government's efforts at reducing its nutrition burden in the state. 0908 111 1067 or 0808 010 1067. There's a particular story that took my fancy this morning while going through the papers. It says about 65% of international returning passengers dodge tests. That's according to the PTF. About 65% of air passengers returning from abroad fail to present themselves for polymerase chain reaction PCR tests, as directed by the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on COVID-19 guidelines. The Presidential Task Force has said. The chairman of the task force and secretary to the government of the Federation, SGF, Mr. Boss Mustafa, disclosed this while addressing the media in Abuja on Tuesday. He said this was a concern in view of the reopening of the Nigerian airspace and the second wave of the pandemic now ravaging other parts of the world. People dodging tests, and it's mandatory. You pay for these tests, and when you arrive, you're supposed to go for tests. Even when you're traveling out of the country, you're supposed to go for tests to get tested 14 days to your departure. And when you're coming in, you go to the testing center to confirm, to verify your results.
If I were the president of this country, I would fire that officer that said that thing, that said that people dodge tests. Because, for goodness sake, President Muhammad Buhari cannot be everywhere. That was why he put people in the saddle. He put people in various places, various segments of governance. How will somebody now be telling me as president of Nigeria that people fail tests, and the reason I put you there is to ensure that people don't fail? I mean, don't dodge tests. So it is highly annoying to hear that kind of a thing, and it shows why we are not developing. How can People cannot jump from foreign countries into this country, they come through our airports, and they cannot use diabolical means to immediately disembark from the aircraft and find themselves in their respective homes. They pass through channels in the airports. How can Nigerian officers put in charge say they are dodging tests?
But there's issues cropping up from various travelers that they come into the country and they don't get called to come for these tests until 7, 8, 9 days after they've arrived the country. And it's not as if everybody who comes into Nigeria stays in Abuja or Lagos.
That was why the officers put in charge, in fact,
should be held responsible.
They should be held responsible. They must be removed. There are 1,001 people, for goodness sake, who want to do those jobs that those people are trivializing. So let the business-minded people get into those places and do the job for the overall development of the nation. You see, it is annoying to hear that some people don't test. Don't forget that it was in the news in recent past that people paid for tests, and Nigerian officers will make them to cough out some money as bribe. Then they take the test. They will not release the result of the test, and by so doing, so many people missed their flights. What is wrong with us here? Everything that works elsewhere, all things that work elsewhere don't work in this country, and no angel will fix this country for us. No American, no Britain, no French will fix this country for us. It is Nigerians that must fix it. And that is one of those things that led to the protest, that we need good governance. So it is easy to say that President Muhammad Buhari is not doing this right, Governor ABC is not doing this right. But what about you, Nigerian?
We are
put in charge. That means that if those very lazy Nigerians put in charge, if they find a worm that has eaten deep to the fabric of this nation, and that is the canker worm that must be killed, whether we like it or not. Otherwise, we won't develop.
And Femi, NYSC camps will be opened very soon. And now we have a story that says all core members to undergo antigen-based tests. That's according to the NCDC. But Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has said that all members of the National Youth Service Corps NYSC scheme at orientation camps across the country will undergo one of the new antigen-based tests. Dr. Chikwe Ihekwazu, the NCDC Director General, who made this known at the PTF briefing on Tuesday in Abuja, said that the process of procurement of the antigen-based test is almost completed. He said the move is part of efforts to ensure the safe reopening of NYSC camps in the country. That's on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune.
Well, that is good, provided it will be done and done very well. So that is good. If it is anything that will make the core members to be okay,
safe,
they will guarantee their safety, their well-being, and overall development of each core member, it is welcome, but it has to be done very well.
And there's this cherry news for female Oyo State workers. This says female Oyo workers to enjoy 6 months maternity leave. Female civil and public servants in Oyo State are now to enjoy 6 months as maternity leave. However, applications for the maternity leave are pegged at 4 for their duration of service. The State Commissioner for Establishment and Training, Professor Dahoud Sogodoy, announced the government's approval of the leave extension at the end of the State Executive Council meeting held on Tuesday. What's about paternity leave then?
Well, I just love what that commissioner said.
Yes,
that it is going to be pegged at 4. That means you cannot have more than 4 maternity leaves while in service.
Yes.
Otherwise, before the expiration of the 6 months, some people may come in with another pregnancy.
We'll have baby boomers.
You see, I'm so happy that they have said that. One of those problems we have in this country is population explosion. We don't control population, and if we continue to procreate the way we are procreating, there's going to be a time that Nigeria's economy will not be able to support the number of people that we have in this country. Already it's happening, but people are not being cautious. They are just procreating anyhow. So that's the commissioner said that you cannot have more than 4 in your lifetime while working for the government, that means there is a kind of a birth control being tucked in stylishly there. I think it is a welcome development.
And let's not forget that governors will meet today to review internal security, defunct SARS, and looting. The 36 state governors under the aegis of Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF) will, during the 21st teleconference scheduled for today, review the internal security situation in the country and the status of the disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad (SARS), whose activities in some parts of the country led to the recent nationwide demonstrations. The meeting, according to a statement issued by the NGF's head of media and publicity, Mr. Abdulrazak Bello Berkindo, would also have an overview from different quarters arising from the COVID-19 palliatives, flag-offs, distribution, and the subsequent looting of various warehouses throughout the country, which resulted from the demonstrations. And before we go this morning, it's no news that Americans have gone to the polls, and results are coming in, and we've been following results since last night. And let's just take this one. Americans cast their votes yesterday in a bitterly contested presidential race between incumbent President Donald Trump and challenger former Vice President Joe Biden after a tumultuous 4 years under the Republican businessman turned politician. The country has been left deeply divided more than any time in recent history. That story is from page 4 of The Nation. And just your thoughts, really. The entire world is watching the American elections, particularly China and Africa. What's your take on this? If Trump wins, if Joe Biden wins, what happens to us in Africa? What would happen to China based on the strained relations between China and the US? Oh, we have someone on the line. Good morning. Hello. Yes, please.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is that something was said in that story that America is divided.
It has been divided.
It's been divided more than ever before. That goes to show that irrespective of the color of your skin, human beings are human beings all over the world. We have our emotions, we have our sentiments, and all the rest. So we are the same. We have the same chemistry. That is number one. Number two, if Trump wins, it has its pluses, it has its minuses. If Biden wins, it has its pluses, it has its minuses for Americans and for the rest of the world. So time will not permit us to start talking about this one.
Yes,
these things one after the other. But the fact of the matter is that the whoever wins has a bundle that will be opened, and when you open the bundle, you begin to see the pluses and minuses for the Americans themselves. And then for the entire world. So that is just it.
Thank you so much, Femi Olukule. It's good to have you on the program this beautiful morning. I'd like to appreciate Benga Ogusoya. Thank you so much for spinning it for us. Join us tomorrow morning as our colleagues will come again to treat you to beautiful stories on this program. Newsreel. The station is Pensioners, 106.7 FM. My name is Okweyemi Adewale. Thank you for listening. Good morning.
From the rising to the setting of the sun, here is the first labor radio in Africa.